Karen's obsession with asserting power reached new heights when she decided to send phony officers to detain me, thinking her fabricated authority could intimidate and control me. She believed that the illusion of law enforcement could compel compliance, but she had completely misjudged who she was dealing with. I was not just a property owner. I was the law enforcement leader, trained to recognize deception, anticipate threats, and respond decisively to any attempt at coercion. When her so-called officers arrived, striding onto my property with exaggerated confidence, they were met with calm authority instead of fear. I allowed them a moment to overestimate their position, to feel the misplaced power she had invested in them, before I demonstrated the reality. My credentials, experience, and presence made it instantly clear. They were operating under false assumptions, and their authority had no legal standing whatsoever. Karen, watching from a distance, could hardly believe the unfolding scene. She had assumed her fabricated power would intimidate, but it quickly became apparent that her bluff had been called. I systematically neutralized the situation, ensuring that the phony officers were aware of the illegality of their actions and documenting every moment for future legal recourse. Her plan had backfired spectacularly. Her attempt to exert control through deception had only exposed her recklessness. The fallout was immediate and undeniable. The neighborhood, once intimidated by her reputation, began to see Karen for what she truly was: entitled, reckless, and dangerously naive in her overestimation of authority. Her attempts to manipulate appearances through fake enforcement had failed completely, leaving her credibility in tatters. Her imagined dominance was replaced by public recognition of her incompetence, and every subsequent action she took would be scrutinized through the lens of this humiliating failure. I did not need to escalate with aggression. My authority, documentation, and strategic positioning were sufficient to reclaim control. Karen had underestimated the consequences of sending phony officers onto private property, and she had failed to account for the fact that I could legally and decisively counter her every move. Her overreach had created a perfect record of abuse and entitlement, leaving her vulnerable to legal action, social scrutiny, and public humiliation. By the end of the day, Karen's plan had completely collapsed. The phony officers had retreated, her authority had been nullified, and the HOA president herself was left scrambling to maintain a semblance of control. Her repeated attempts to dominate, intimidate, and fabricate power had once again collided with preparation, knowledge, and legal authority, and she had lost spectacularly. Karen had assumed she could manipulate law and fear, but the truth was now clear to everyone. When entitlement meets experience, strategy, and authority, arrogance loses every time. The saga continued, with Karen's failed attempts serving as a stark reminder that overreach carries consequences far beyond what the entitled can imagine. She had attempted to detain me, to assert authority, and to intimidate, but all she had accomplished was to expose herself as reckless, foolish, and entirely unprepared for the reality she had provoked.